So here's something you're probably not going to hear much about on CNN this week. President Donald Trump just scored a major win at the Supreme Court. And it's not some small procedural thing. It's a massive reversal of an activist lower court's decision that tried to block Trump from doing something totally within the scope of presidential power. We're talking about an 8-1 ruling that gives Trump the power to end temporary protected status, TPS, over 300,000 Venezuelan migrants. These are all the people that he said they let them out of the prisons, the insane asylums. But what you'll soon discover is that this isn't just about immigration. It's about whether presidents have the constitutional authority to enforce our laws at all. Let's get into it. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So, while the mainstream media scrambles to cover literally anything else, something monumental just happened at the Supreme Court. Now pay close attention because this story reveals exactly how the liberal establishment has been trying to strip away presidential power from anyone who dares to enforce our nation's borders. President Donald Trump just scored what might be the most significant immigration victory of his presidency. The shadowy forces trying to keep our borders wide open just got slapped down hard. The Supreme Court, get this, in an 8-1 ruling, has given Trump the green light to end temporary protected status, that's TPS, for more than 300,000 Venezuelan migrants. Yeah, you heard that right, 300,000. That's roughly the population of Cincinnati, Ohio, that activist judges have been desperately trying to keep in our country against the president's lawful authority. And make no mistake, the forces arrayed against protecting America's sovereignty are formidable and relentless. What happened here is so perfectly illustrative of how our system works. The Trump administration filed an emergency application asking the court to lift a California judge's order, and of course it was California, that barred the administration from ending these TPS protections. That judge, Edward Chen, is quickly becoming a one-man border control wrecking crew. Here's what the Supreme Court actually said, and I'm quoting directly. The application for stay presented to Justice Kagan and by her referred to the court is granted. The March 31, 2025 order entered by the United States District Court for the Northern District of California, it gives the case number, is stayed pending the disposition of the appeal in the United States Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit and disposition of a petition for a writ of certiorari if such a writ is timely sought. Now, what does that actually mean in plain English? It means Trump is back in charge, exactly as the Constitution intended, at least for now. And it's worth noting that only one justice dissented, Ketanji Brown Jackson. Not surprising. She's quickly establishing herself as a reliable vote against any form of border enforcement whatsoever. Meanwhile, Dale Wilcox, who serves as executive director and general counsel for the Immigration Reform Law Institute, put it perfectly when he said, and I'm quoting again, the Supreme Court has repeatedly recognized the president's inherent authority to exclude aliens, and inherent clearly means he may exercise it when he is not guided by a specific statute. That's the key word here, inherent. As in, this power belongs to the president because the Constitution gives it to him, whether Congress likes it or not, whether activist judges like it or not, whether the corporate media likes it or not. This is about constitutional authority at its most basic level. And yet we're still having to fight these battles in court because the left doesn't live by the Constitution anymore. Of course, the ruling has the usual suspects in absolute meltdown mode. One of the attorneys representing the migrants, Ahilan Arulanantham, called it the largest single action stripping any group of non-citizens of immigration status in modern U.S. history. Well, yes, that's exactly the point. The word temporary is right there in the name, temporary protected status. It was never meant to be permanent. It was never meant to be a backdoor path to citizenship, but that's precisely what the open borders crowd has been trying to make it. Now, let's backtrack a bit to understand how we got here. In early May, the Trump administration filed an emergency appeal to get Judge Chen's ruling tossed out. And according to the U.S. Solicitor General John Sauer, Chen's ruling was untenable. Now, why? Because Judge Chen essentially argued that if you contribute to the economy and pay taxes, immigration law shouldn't apply to you. Oh, that's a goofy thing to say. In his ruling, Chen actually wrote that these migrants have higher educational attainment than most U.S. citizens. 40 to 54% have bachelor's degrees, have high labor participation rates, 80 to 96%, because they are younger on average, and annually contribute billions of dollars to the U.S. economy and pay hundreds of millions, if not billions, in Social Security tax. So now we have a federal judge saying that if you have a college degree and pay taxes, our immigration laws don't apply to you. Is that how law enforcement works now? Try telling a police officer who pulls you over for speeding that you shouldn't get a ticket because you pay taxes. See how that goes. This goes back to February when DHS Secretary Kristi Noem revoked one of the 2 TPS designations for Venezuelan migrants. Remember, this came after former DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas had extended TPS amnesty for a staggering 850,000 illegal and quasi-illegal migrants until 2026. 850,000. That's more people than the entire population of Seattle. The left's approach to immigration has always been the same. Extend, delay, create legal confusion, and then claim that anyone who's been here long enough now deserves citizenship. It's amnesty by 1,000 cuts. Death of sovereignty by 1,000 judicial rulings. But today, at least, the Constitution won. The rule of law won, and America's right to determine who enters our country and under what conditions, that won too. This case isn't over. The litigation will continue in lower courts. The activists will keep filing lawsuits, as always. The judges in California and elsewhere will keep trying to legislate from the bench, but for now, presidential authority has been affirmed by the highest court in the land. And isn't it interesting how the same people who screamed that Trump was undermining democratic norms are now furious that the Supreme Court is allowing the elected president to exercise his constitutional authority? Maybe their problem isn't with norms at all. Maybe their problem is with borders. All right, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Spread the word.
We just want to beat them. Parents who are speeding. Every turn, every spin, read from within.